guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to Nicole Social Hub. So today's YouTube video is how to create a podcast intro and outro. So with that being said, let's get started. So first thing we're going to do, I'm going to show you, well, I'm going to tell you how this YouTube video is going to flow. So first thing first is we're going to type up our podcast intro and outro script of what we're going to say, and then we're going to create the podcast intro and outro, and we're also going to put music on there and etc. So let's go ahead and create our podcast intro and outro. So we're going to just title this podcast intro and outro brief for Get It Together podcast. Okay. So first thing first, we're just gonna put podcast intro and outro script here, and then we're going so the good news is we already have our intro script, and we're going to click on underline. Oh, by the way, I didn't even mention, so by the way, we are using Google Docs. I just started typing. So we're using Google Docs to type up our podcast script. Now we can use Canva Docs, but I'm so used to using Google Docs that that's just what I use. So we're gonna go ahead and type up this intro script. So from before, if you haven't watched our last YouTube video, which is how to apply for your own podcast show, please make sure you watch that YouTube video. That YouTube video will be linked in the description box below. But on that one, we already made a description box. We already made a podcast description for our podcast. So we're going to use that same podcast description for our intro. So we're going to go to settings. We're on Spotify, so we can go to settings, and we're going to copy and paste this full description box. This full description here. We're going to copy and paste it to here so we know exactly what we're going to say. So this don't have to be underlined. Also, this is a podcast. This podcast is going to teach you how to cope with your mental health. So please tune in, and so if you like this mental so we're gonna go over here, and if you want a full Google Docs tour of how to use Google Docs, let me know and I'll show you a tour. But I'm also going to show you a quick tour of all my Google Docs documents that I've already written out and stuff, so you can see like a little bit of format of how I script out my podcast episodes too. Okay, so let's make a outro script. All right, so we're gonna highlight this. Well, not highlight it, but underline it, and then we're gonna take that off, and we're just gonna say, if you love this full podcast episode, then make sure to click the download button, because it does help our podcast show to grow. And I'm also going to market my digital product in here, and market my YouTube channel, etc. And I'm actually going to use exactly what I'm going to say, like what I really would say, like if I was really doing like this for like let me just keep going. But yeah, so I'm going to market my digital product and my YouTube channel, and I think social media is if you love this full podcast episode, then make sure to click the download button, because it does help our podcast show to grow. And if you need help with starting your own podcast show, then please um, download our How to Start a Self Care podcast channel. It gives you we have a YouTube video. Oh, I already said that. We have a YouTube podcast video series playlist on how to start a podcast. So not only do you have the digital ebook, but you also have a free YouTube video guide to help with starting your podcast channel. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you till next time. I'll see you in the next episode. All right. I like that. All right. So now that we got our script, let's go ahead and go to Spotify. We're going to go to Spotify. And now we're going to click in our username over here in the corner, and we're going to is that what we're doing? No, we're not doing that. Okay, so we're going to click in the episodes tab. My bad. Yeah, so we're going to click on the episodes tab, and um we're going to click on add an episode. We're going to click on record, and we're going to click on audio. It looks like this. All right, but let's go ahead and record for our script. So we're just going to click on record. All right, so let's go. All right, so this is a podcast intro script. So, all right, let's get to it. Okay. So, hey my mental health baddies, I just want you to know that you don't have to struggle with mental health alone. Get It Together podcast is a podcast all about getting our mental health together and how we can share our mental health journey on this podcast show. If your mental health isn't in order, then everything in your life will be out of order. Sometimes we can't control the decisions or the outcome of certain situations, and sometimes we have to deal with our own consequences of our actions. So sometimes it can lead to depression and anxiety and so many other mental health factors that plays a major role in our lives. Also, this podcast is going to teach you how to cope with your mental health. So if you like this mental health podcast show, then keep on listening. And please click the download button because it does help our podcast show to grow. All right, so we're going to play that back. All right, so we're going to click on view recordings. Okay, so let's go ahead and play it. Well, we actually going to click on edit. All right. And like I said, I mean, not like I said, but in our previous Riverside how to upload a podcast episode, I share with you that it automatically scripts your podcast. Like it automatically transcribe your what you say. So I really love that because it's so much easier to like just edit through here. So I love this feature. I just love Riverside. So let's go ahead and play and see how it sounds. And yeah, we're gonna allow this time. All right, so let's go. All right, so this is a podcast intro script. So, all right, let's get to it. Okay. So, hey my mental health baddies, I just want you to know that you don't have to struggle with mental health alone. Get It Together podcast is a podcast all about getting our mental health together and how we can share our mental health journey on this podcast show. If your mental health isn't in order, then everything in your life will be out of order. Sometimes we can't control the decisions or the outcome of certain situations, and sometimes we have to deal with our own consequences of our actions. So sometimes it can lead to depression and anxiety and so many other mental health factors that plays a major role in our lives. Also, this podcast is going to teach you how to cope with your mental health. So if you like this mental health podcast show, then keep on listening. And please click the download button because it does help our podcast show to grow. Okay, I like that. So then keep on listening. I wasn't really bubbly, but like I normally be, but I like it. Okay, I'm not gonna re-record it. All right, so what I'm gonna do is you could like whatever you don't want in there, you can go ahead, you can go ahead we're going to add music. So you see how it says music right below it. So we're going to click on add music. It makes it so simple and easy. So usually you can either, like, this is a track that I really use for my podcast. So I think, is this a, so we can add this one in here. And your life will be out of order. Sometimes we can't control the decisions or the outcome of certain situations, and sometimes we have to deal with our own consequences of our actions. So sometimes it can lead to depression and anxiety and so many. I'm not feeling this. I'm not feeling the. I'm not feeling the beat, even though I know. Let's see what this one is. What's they got down here? Click on volume, and we're gonna turn this down to like. All right, let's see. All right, now let's play it. So, hey, my mental health baddies. I just want you to know that you don't have to struggle with mental health alone. Get It Together podcast is a podcast all about getting our mental health together and how we can share our mental health journey on this podcast show. If your mental health isn't in order, then everything in your life will be out of order. Sometimes we can't control the decisions or the outcome of certain situations, and sometimes we have to deal with our own consequences of our actions. So sometimes it can lead to depression and anxiety and so many other mental health factors that plays a major role in our lives. Also, this podcast is going to teach you how to cope with your mental health. So if you like this mental health, I want to, can you adjust it like to a certain part where you want it to be at? I don't know if you could do that. So, hey, my mental, I don't feel like going to all of that, but this sounds really good, and I'm going to keep it as that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to click the export button, and we're going to click on export audio only. And we're going to go to, and we can preview and share our mental health journey on this podcast show. If your mental health isn't in order, then everything in your life will be out of order. Sometimes we can't control the decisions or the outcome. Hey, my mental health. All right. So now that we have a podcast intro, stay tuned for the next YouTube video. I'm just going to make a different podcast. I'm going to just make a different YouTube video because I don't want it to be too long, and yeah, so really quick, I just want to go over everything that we did so far. So first thing we did was we went ahead and we typed up our podcast intro script and our podcast outro script. Then we went over to Riverside and we recorded our podcast intro script, and then we went ahead and exported it. And then now what we're going to do is we're going to actually upload. This is considered a podcast trailer, or a podcast trailer for Spotify. So what we're going to do now is we're going to actually upload how to upload a podcast trailer on Spotify. So let's go ahead and bring up Spotify, and we're going to exit out of here, and we're going to go to settings. I think, yeah, is it in settings? And we're going to go scroll down. We're going to scroll down. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, we can do episodes. So we're going to click on episodes tab, and we're going to add an episode, but it's not really an episode. It's just a trailer. So we're going to, that podcast intro we just made from Apple Music, we're going to grab that and we're going to drag it. We're going to put it in here. So, hey my mental. So we're just going to put this right in here and wait for that to load. And we're going to set this as a trailer, and we don't have to put a season number or episode number. because this is just a trailer. And we're gonna go back up, and we're going to just put, we're just gonna put welcome to Get It Together podcast show. And we're gonna take that same intro, and we're gonna put it in here. I mean, you could add links and everything in there. I do have a YouTube video on how to upload a podcast episode on Spotify, and I added links. I did so much more in that video. So if you want to full in depth, like how your description box should look, you definitely want to add links. You want to add links to your social medias. You want to add a whole bunch of keywords. But for right now, we're just gonna keep it simple. And we already have our podcast cover. So if you didn't watch that YouTube video, please make sure you watch our how to create a podcast cover design in Canva as well. So we really we're taking you through a full like process on like jump starting your podcast show. So now that we got it up there, we can go ahead and play it. So you know, we're going to click on now, and we're going to click on publish. Well, you can look down here, but it's not really nothing down here. It's just telling you the details about the show. And then let's go to the episodes and see where our show, if it's uploaded on there. I think it said it would be up there as published. So we have our first trailer that is published on our show. And yeah, so thank you so much for watching this YouTube video. If you made it this far, please make sure you click that subscribe button, because it does help our YouTube channel to grow. All I ask is just please to watch my YouTube video all the way through, and make sure you click that subscribe button, because it does help our YouTube channel to grow. And stay tuned for the next YouTube video, which is how to create a podcast outro. And it's the same format that we're doing for the intro. I just didn't want to put too much into one video. Like I want to make sure that it's not too long. So I just want to make sure that you can get how to learn, how to create a edit that part out. So yeah, the next episode will be how to create your podcast outro. I just didn't want to overwhelm you with, the YouTube video. So stay tuned for that next YouTube video. I'm getting ready to record next, and I think we're done with our podcast playlist series. And then we're going to start on our YouTube series. So yeah, I'm very excited for that. And yeah, so please make sure you click that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next YouTube video. All right, later.